Welcome to Intro to Office 2010 Video Project 4. Hey, in this video, we're going to start talking about Word. Now, before we start talking about Word, we need to open up Windows Explorer and look at the folders we created. We created a system of folders using Windows Explorer in the first 3 videos. So what's the keyboard shortcut for Windows Explorer? The window key between Control and Alt. You hold that down and tap the letter E. Window E. We're using Windows 7. On the left is the hierarchical structure of our computer, all the drives and folders. And on the right is whatever you have selected. Now, let's go ahead and put our jump drive in. In the last 3 videos, I used my Lexar L that had my system of folders. I'm going to use my old iPod Shuffle here in this video. If I can find the slot to put this in the front of my computer. I have copied the system of folders over to this drive using Windows Explorer. This message pops up often. Scan and fix recommended. I don't think so. Continue without scanning or click the X. Now, down here on my screen, as we've learned in the last couple of videos, we have our task bar. There's my video program I'm using. There's my computers, and that iTunes thing pops up. And for right now, I'm just going to leave it there. But I'm just using this as a jump drive, right? Here it is. I can see it over on the left. Now I'm going to open. And there's our highline. I'm going to open with the pluses. The pluses open and collapse things only on the left. Now I'm going to go to winter. Now, of course, if whatever quarter you're in, you'll click on that particular quarter. If you're in spring 2011 or summer or whatever. There's business 216. I want to open this, and I want to go to class notes. This is the first time we're going to create a file and save it to our system of folders. Every day moving forward in this class, we will use this system of folders. So I could see class notes. If I click on the left, I see it's blue. It's highlighted. Over here, I can see what's inside. I'm going to click on this word. I have nothing here because we haven't created any files that we save to this location. Anything we create in class, the video projects, goes in class projects. Anything you do for your homework, which means either the textbook Shelley Cashman or the book I wrote about Excel, goes into this system of folders. Now, let's open Word and just have a little intro to Word. As we talked about a number of times already, taskbar, there are shortcuts. There's our blue W. If you don't see it there, you go to Start, All Programs, the Microsoft Office, and then there it is. I'm going to click Escape, Escape, Escape. Click on the blue W. All right, the very first thing we do, we're looking at the title bar up here, Document 1. Never leave the default name. You always give it a smart, logical name. We've talked about this numerous times. That's one of the most important skills we'll learn in this class. Everything we do, name it logically and save it to a logical location. I'm just going to immediately save as and change the name and the location. Now, we talked about this a little bit before. File, and this File menu is new in 2010. In 2007, there was a little round orb, and then in an earlier version, there was a menu. We don't have menus anymore. We have ribbons. So I'm going to click on the file. This is called Backstage View. There are things like save, save as, open, close, print. Pretty much we'll use keyboard shortcuts for all of these. So I'm going to click Escape because we want to do Save As. I'm going to click Escape. By the way, we mentioned earlier the great new feature in 2010 is you have recent documents, which was in 2007. But now we have recent places, all of our folders. I'm going to click Escape. By the way, when you click Backstage View, one terrible thing that Microsoft did is so many of us are used to clicking the X up here. But guess what? That doesn't close the Backstage View. You're supposed to use this, or in my case, I'm using Escape. If you click that, it'll close the whole Word document. Escape. And we've learned this and used this a few times already. The keyboard shortcut for Save As is F12. Now watch this. F12, notice it says Save As. Now I'm going to close this. And now I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut for Save, which we've talked about already. You should be getting used to the difference between Save and Save As. But watch this. Control S. Why in the world does Control S and Save As both open the Save As dialog box? Ding, 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 because the document has never been saved, or the file has never been saved. So you have to open this. But that's the only case that those two keyboard shortcuts do exactly the same thing. We've never named this before. It doesn't, in essence, Word doesn't know where in the world you want to save this. Now, 3 parts to save as. Where do you want to save it? I'm going to click on the plus and then the plus. You could also click here. That opens it and shows you over here. We want to go to winter. Double click it, opens and shows everything here and displays everything that's inside this. I'm going to then come here, double click, double click. There it is, Word. Now, save as, 3 parts. The first one is, where do you want to save it? That is the file path. What do you want to call it? We're going to call this Intro to Word Practice. We're just going to mess around a little bit. It's not like a finished product, but we're definitely going to save it. And what type? The third part, docx. .docx is the default on most computers. That is the new file format that is more efficient than doc earlier file formats. One aspect of this is that the file size is smaller using this .docx, or when we get to PowerPoint, PPTX, or Excel, XLSX. File size smaller. Also, it's understood by more computer applications. It's a more universal file format. I'm going to keep it like that. 1, 2, 3 parts to save as. Click Save. All right, now Word. We are using Word, and we're going to have to distinguish Windows Explorer from Word, PowerPoint, Excel, and Access. They all do different things. Now, Word properly is a word processor. And the way I think of it is, hey, it's when you're going to use a lot of words. Things like a research paper, or a business letter, or even a flyer. Now, a flyer is what we're going to do in this chapter. Our next project is a flyer project where we have pictures and words, and we create an ad. But sometimes we use words and images inside of Word. Anytime you have a presentation where you're actually trying to articulate a message to a group of people, then you probably want to switch over to PowerPoint, which has words, images, sounds, motion, and things like that. All right. So Word. Word is when you have lots of words and sometimes pictures, different than our other applications. Now, the first topic is the ribbon. We looked at the ribbon a little bit in our intro video to Windows Explorer, but here we're going to look at it more completely. Now, the ribbon replaced menus. In earlier versions, we had menus. We already saw in Windows Explorer an example of a menu. All right, so there's things like buttons. You click there, it's paste. There's drop downs. There's some more options here. There's buttons. This is the home ribbon, right? So that's just the home tab ribbon. If you click on insert, then you see some insert items that you can insert. Now, the idea behind the home ribbon is that they put the most common things in Word, and later we'll see Excel and PowerPoint. You know, things like bold, underline, highlighting, font color, and we'll get to see a bunch of these. Here's the paragraph level formatting, styles. So the more common things that are used every day, they tend to put on the home ribbon. Insert, we'll see similar in PowerPoint and Word, things like pictures, clip art, shapes, headers and footers inside of Word. Page layout, things that define how the document is printed out. That'll be the same in PowerPoint and Excel also. References, we'll get to use lots of these buttons and groups when we get to research papers. Mailings, that'll be one of the final projects in this class. We'll get to do mail merge. Review, that's things like spelling. And finally, view. Now, let's go back to page layout. Here's another example. Text boxes are oftentimes things you'll see in the ribbons where you click and you define what the indent is. Still, another aspect of the ribbon are these. They're called dialog launchers. So if I click this, even though we have the page layout ribbon, the page setup dialog box will have more elements than just what you see up in the ribbons. The ribbons just have your most common items used. All right, so the ribbon. Another aspect of the ribbon, if I come to the whichever one here, is the ribbon takes up a lot of space. And if you're in Excel or PowerPoint and or Word for that matter, and you don't want to use all that space, you can right-click, minimize, right-click, unminimize. Now there's a keyboard shortcut. The keyboard shortcut is Control F1. It is a toggle, Control F1. We actually already saw that keyboard shortcuts in an earlier video. Another aspect of the ribbon is that you can modify it. Now, this is new in 2010. In 2007, you couldn't modify the ribbon. Right-click any ribbon, and no way, customize ribbon. Point to customize ribbon, and here it is. Over on the far right side is a list, and the only ribbon that is not showing is developer ribbon. So up here you don't see a developer ribbon. This is for people who write VBA, Visual Basic Application. That is the ability to write code, just like you were a computer programmer. So computer programming is not something we do in this class. But for example, we Word users can click the bold button, but there's also a way to highlight and bold things using VBA. Now VBA allows you to do more things than the things you see in the ribbons or the quick access toolbar. But again, that's not something we'll do in this class. But I do want to check this to see how to add it. Click OK. And sure enough, there's the developer ribbon. Now let's right-click Customize Ribbon. Beyond the scope of this class, you can actually add buttons and even add your own customized ribbon. Now we're going to doing that in this class, but there is the capability to do that. All right, so that's a little bit about the ribbon. One last thing about the ribbon. There are a bunch of ribbons here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 by default, and then an 8th one. But there's a bunch of other ribbons, and we'll get to see them throughout this class. Things like when we insert a picture or clip art, or we have a table. Ribbons will show up. They're called context-sensitive ribbon. Now, just in this intro video, I do want to look at one example. So I'm going to go to the Insert, and I'm going to click Clip Art. Now, Clip Art, you may have a dialog box that shows up that says something like, do you want a clip art from Microsoft.com? And it's perfectly all right to click OK. That just means then the clip art, when you search for clip art, it'll also search the Microsoft site, and then you have thousands of more images. All right, I'm just going to type school or something like that and click Go. This is called a task pane. There are a few task pane. That's different than the task bar down here. All right, so now I'm going to, once I select an image, click. Now I'm going to come over here and close this task pane. Whoa, picture tools. That's an example of a context-sensitive ribbon. I'm going to click over here. Notice I have my non-printing characters turned on. If you don't, go ahead and turn them on. You can see the cursor's flashing right there. I clicked away from the picture. What happened to the ribbon? No problem. When you click back on the ribbon, there it is. We will see a lot of context-sensitive ribbons throughout the class. In Excel, there's a bunch of context-sensitive ribbons, too, for things like charts or pivot tables that we'll talk about that. The idea behind context-sensitive is it's context. If you are selected or have your cursor flashing somewhere besides the object, that ribbon goes away. So the context is wherever your cursor is. Now I'm going to hit Enter. Enter. Notice if I have these non-printing characters turned on, which we'll talk about in a second, Enter, 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 you get to see that there's actually 3 hard returns hitting the Enter key. Context, it's not going to show. When I click over here, boom, it shows it. Format, you could do things like change some of the visual aspects of it. You can actually crop it. We will get to do 1 or 2 things in this ribbon, and in the videos, the textbook goes into great detail in Chapter 1 about how you can just see the live preview there. Wow, you could do all these amazing things. All right. So that's the ribbons. Next, we'd like to talk about the quick access toolbar. Here it is, the quick access toolbar. Now, in an earlier video, I showed you, we just briefly looked at this. Now, really, I want to show you a couple things about the quick access toolbar. But these buttons I've already added. I'm going to right-click this and remove, just so I can get the right-click, remove, right-click, remove. Just so I can get back to the default. And I want to show you a couple things about the QAT. Now, we're never going to use these save, undo, redo, or undo the undo is that one right here. We'll use keyboard shortcuts for those. But there's a great use for the QAT. First thing, though, notice it comes by default above. I want to show you how to drop it down below, because sometimes, and I'm going to show you how to customize it, you can have you build your own custom quick access toolbar. And what's great about that is it doesn't matter what ribbon you're on. The QAT always shows up. So it's super easy to add buttons. You can build your own QAT, and boom, you have a toolbar like earlier versions, which the advantage is it's always showing no matter what ribbon you're on. All right, above, right-click, show access toolbar below. It shows it below, and then you can see it like that. Right-click. Now, during the videos, I'm going to right-click, show it above. And the reason why is it takes up less space here. Although I'm shooting in maximum screen mode here, so maybe that doesn't matter. OK, we're going to keep it below. Now, how do you add buttons? Well, in the ribbons, whichever one you're on, I'm going to stop in Home right here. You could simply choose a button. Now, this is a great button here. We'll get to see how to use it later in class. You can highlight text and say make it all uppercase, or make it all lowercase, or capitalize each word. So I want to add this here, so no matter what ribbon I'm using, I always see it. It's as simple as right-click, add to quick access toolbar. You got to be kidding me. So you can literally go through and find right-click, add to quick access toolbar, and you can add all your favorite buttons from each. Let's go clipart, right-click, add. So go through each ribbon and just add all your buttons and make your QAT. Now that's fine, but guess what? When they made Office 2007 and 10, they did not put everything in the ribbon. So for example, if you used to do things like the reveal formatting button in Word, it doesn't exist, right? Reveal formatting was in one of the menus, but it doesn't exist anywhere in the ribbons. So we have to see how to go and customize this. We have to find the list of all features in Word. By the way, these tricks work in Excel and PowerPoint also. Right-click the QAT, and we want to go to, Customize. Now, in my notes that you can download, I have, this is an important trick here, so there's notes for this. But you right-click it, then you go to Choose Commands From, and the drop-down, you say All. Why they, by default, have popular commands, I have no idea, because why not just show All? And then, boom, there's all more than 1,000 things that Word can do. Now, here's another cool trick. Right? Hover your cursor over there, and it tells you where this should show up. Right? So if you're used to earlier versions, and you used to always do 3D color, right? And you knew where it was in the menus, but you can't find it in the ribbon, just open this Customize, go to All, hover your cursor, and it tells you Text Box Tools, Format Tab, 3D Effects. Here's another great use for this All Commands list. Let's say you used to use 5-point stars, and you knew how to add them. Point your cursor and it says Command, not in ribbon. That means it's nowhere to be found. Boom, that's a great use for the QAT. You could click on this and click Add. That's how you add a button. So you can go through this list and add any button you want. Another one, notice I'm using the scroll box here. Another way to get to the R's, because I want to find reveal formatting, is I'm going to click once and then type in R. So I'm just hitting R on the keypad, and boom, it jumps to the R's. All right, reveal. I'm a terrible speller. I probably can't even spell it correctly. I think it's R-E-V. And there it is, reveal format. This is great. This button, you can highlight any element or any text in your Word document, and then click on this button, and it will tell you all the formatting that was used to create that. So I'm going to add this. Once I get my list, notice some of these buttons we got directly from right-clicking the ribbons. These other ones we had to go to the all commands and we added them because they were nowhere in the ribbons. Once you have what you want, you click OK. Just a great trick because now, boom, any ribbon I'm on, I can see my favorite features all on the Quick Access Toolbar. All right, Quick Access Toolbar. Now we want to move on to actual typing and doing some things in Word. Now typing, you just type this class is hard but fun, exclamation point. Enter. Now, typing straight enough, that's called a paragraph there. Notice the paragraph mark tells you. If you go back up to Home, I'm going to right-click and add to the Quick Access Toolbar. We got to talk about these non-printing characters here. And we're going to use them throughout all of our studies in Word. And as you do more and more advanced Word things, these non-printing characters become more and more important. All right, so you can go to the Home ribbon, Paragraph Group, and click on this. It is a toggle. It turns them on and off. In this class, you always want them on. Another way is the keyboard shortcut Control-Shift-8. Control-Shift-8. Again, that's also in the notes you can download, Control-Shift-8. All right, now why are they important? Well, right now, all we can see, if I hit Enter, 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 let's turn them off. Control, and put my cursor right up here by the picture I inserted. Control, and by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. In these projects like this, a picture, if I insert a picture right, it doesn't, I don't care what picture you're inserting here, but even in the homework, right? If you're doing a flyer and it asks you to find a particular picture about a horse, I'm not so concerned about that particular picture. What I'm concerned about is whether you know how to find on the insert menu the picture and insert the picture. So the action is what we're trying to learn here. All right, so I'm going to put my cursor right here, and now I'm going to turn these off by either clicking that or my QAT button or Control-Shift-8. When you open this up, you have no idea that somebody had gone Enter, 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 right? So one advantage to the non-printing characters, if you turn them on, is you can see exactly how this file was created. Now let's look at a few other important non-printing characters. What happens if you hit the Tab key and the exclamation point, right? Oh, look at that. Tab is a little arrow like that. Oh, look at this also, that I accidentally typed too many spaces, right? If you have these turned off, right? You could visually tell here, but if you're not looking too closely, you would never know. So good information. Did they go space, 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 space? Actually, we should do that. Enter. I'm just hitting the space key, right? And then Enter, right? So when you open this up, you don't know whether they use the Tab key or space, 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 and you're not sure how come there's a bunch of space there. But with them on, Control-Shift-8, good information. Non-printing characters give you good information about how this document was created. And as we learn more and more things, that'll become more and more important. Now, one other, let's do two other non-printing characters to just see. In Chapter 3, we'll learn about tables. I'm going to go to, notice my cursor's right there, flashing. Insert. Anytime your cursor is flashing and you go to Insert and insert a picture or a table, wherever your cursor is flashing, that's where the thing is going to go. Now I'm going to go to the Table button and watch this. You can create whatever size table you want. We'll talk about tables later. I'm just going to create a 3-column by 2-row. Now I'm going to Control-Shift-8. And you can see, yes, we can see the table here. But when we Control-Shift-8, when we have non-printing characters, that little mark there says this is a cell. And we'll get to see some of the advantages and disadvantages of tables and why this non-printing character can really help sometime when we study tables. But there it is, non-printing character. One last non-printing character. I want to jump to the next page. And page. And many of us have already experienced this. We create a Word document and we have a bunch of text, but the next section, we need to go to the next page. So most of us go like this: enter, 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 enter. Oh, and now I'm finally to the next page, and then I start typing. Right? But if you turn this off, Control-Shift-8, you have no idea how they did that. Control-Shift-8. And now I want to undo. Now you could come up here and go undo. But notice when I point to these buttons, and many of the buttons up here, if there is a keyboard shortcut, it will show you. Notice right here, Control-Z. Now from this point forward in this class, we're going to do a lot of undo in PowerPoint and Excel also. And I'm just going to use Control-Z. So watch this. I'm down here, Control-Z. Wow, it jumped up a bunch. Control-Z. All right. Now, I undid that. And what my goal here is to jump to the next page. So you can insert a page break, which I barely even know where insert page break is. Or in chapter 2, we'll talk about insert breaks, and there's all sorts of types of breaks. We could do that, but forget that. There's a keyboard shortcut. Since this is such a common task, and we will do this a lot in this class, Control-Enter. Again, if you want to download the notes, I usually have all the keyboard shortcuts in those notes. Control-Enter. Wow, that's so awesome. Two things here. One is the advantage is you don't have to waste a lot of time, right? Enter, 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 enter. So talk about creating your file efficiently. You're saving time. I just jumped to the next page. The other advantage is if I come up here and start typing, if you had done enter, 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 anytime you hit an enter here, it would be pushing this one down. And so the advantage saves time, and a great advantage is if you add text up here, it doesn't mess up the text that you had nicely placed at the top of this page. All right. Now, I'd like to save. That's a bunch about non-printing characters. We have a few more topics for this Intro to Word video, but I'd like to save. Now, I want to use the keyboard shortcut Control-S. And save means you're saving the changes to that file location, wherever you've already saved it. Now, watch my cursor. I want to hit Control-S. For a second there, it turns to an hourglass, and you can see. Now, I want to go check and see. And we should have already done this when we did F12 and named it. We should have verified that we saved it to the right location. Well, we're going to do that right now. In earlier videos, we talked about the taskbar. You could take your cursor and click on this Windows Explorer. In Windows Explorer now. Whoops, that's the wrong location. That's my file location. This is where we were before. OK, so Windows Explorer, you can use your cursor to go back to Word. But we learned a keyboard shortcut. If you're going back and forth, use Alt-Tab. So I'm going to hold Alt and tap the Tab key. Notice I can go to any one of the open files. The first Alt-Tab goes to the most recent place you were. So I was just in Windows Explorer. So if I just hit Alt-Tab, it jumps back and forth. Now I'm going to Alt-Tab, Alt-Tab, just to show you that that's a toggle. Now I'm verifying. There's the word inside of my file location, and there it is. Sure enough. I can even see the time and the date. So there it is. Now, Alt-Tab to jump back. Next thing I want to talk about is the clipboard. Now, I shouldn't have had that open there. The clipboard, home. And I'm going to show you two ways to open the clipboard. The first one is this is the clipboard. Clipboard has to do with copying and pasting. If I click this little what's called a dialog launcher, boop, it opens the clipboard task pane. We saw earlier that the dialog launcher also opens dialog boxes. Now, I have nothing copied so far. The beauty of the clipboard is you can copy lots of things and collect them and then paste them in any order. In chapter 3 in the textbook, you'll see how you get to copy people's names and addresses and telephone numbers from different locations, collect them on the clipboard, and then paste them in any order you want. We just want to see the basics of it right now. Now, I'd like you to highlight. And we want to learn two things here. We're going to learn about the clipboard and an advantage, or another advantage, to non-printing characters. Now, let's just go ahead and turn this off. Control-Shift-8. And what most of us do when we want to copy some text is we either come out to the selection bar and use our white cursor, boop, like that, or I take my I-beam cursor and click and drag. Now what I would like to do is just highlight just the text and paste it. So most of us go Control C, and then we come to the end, and we Control Enter. And when we paste, our goal is to have this pasted and continue typing on the same line. Well, when I Control V, we'll talk about the clipboard in just a moment. Notice what happened. Why did my cursor go down? So many times I know before I learned non-printing characters, I was like, why did the cursor jump down? Ah, it has to do with the non-printing characters. Let's do our turn on our non-printing characters, Control-Shift-8. I want to highlight this again, and there's our answer because we highlighted the paragraph mark. That means we copied a hard return also. So now I'm going to copy. I'm going to click right here and Control V. Jumps down. Let's try this again, but this time we are not going to have the non-printing character selected. Now this can be tricky sometimes. If you come like this and you can't quite get it because it keeps going like that, you can actually come all the way to the end, hold Shift, and hit the left arrow. The left arrow can help us with selecting things when it's tricky and we want one little thing that's not included. Now, once you have that highlighted, Control C. And now my goal is, notice we have two things over here because the clipboard knows they're different. This one has a hard return. This one doesn't. I'm going to Control V. Remember, whoops. Our goal is to paste the text and continue typing. Control V, boom, we accomplished our goal. We didn't copy the hard return, so now I can continue typing. All right, now let's talk about the clipboard in terms of collecting a bunch of things. I'm going to highlight. This is the, I wish I'd said this more succinctly. When we copied that first one with the hard return, it was this one. The latest thing we copied was when we went like this and copy. It's at the top here. It pushed that other one down. We can prove to ourselves that fact. Let's double click the word hard. And now copy and watch what happens. OK, so now we're collecting a bunch of things. The latest thing that always appears at the top, and it pushes it down. Now, I don't want this one. This is the one with the hard return. So I'm going to point to this little thing right here. Just click it, the drop-down arrow, and say Delete. All right. Now I want to say, do this trick. Double-click this, Control-C. Double-click class, Control. Whoops. What did I do there? I Control-V. Luckily, I made a mistake here, so I'm going to undo Control-Z. Now, instead of Control-V, I want to copy it, so I'm going to Control-C. I'm going to double-click that word is, Control-C. Now, let's come down here and let's paste 1, 2, 3. So you can collect things and paste them in any order. This class is, now I'm going to do hard, and now I'm going to type space. I'm not capitalizing correctly here. I shouldn't have these capitalized. This class is hard, but is fun also. Let's go ahead and see if we can fix this. Notice I have some capitals that shouldn't be there. Now I'm going to come right here and highlight all of this. And no way. I could do it individually, right? And it might be faster to do it individually if there's just a few. But we have a feature up here, either here in our home ribbon font group or over here in our QAT. Lowercase. And when I click this, boom, everything is lowercase. All right, Clipboard. There's one other thing. We saw how to use this dialog launcher, but sometimes you have this and your only goal. Let's go ahead and close this. Sorry. Boop. Let's clear all and start over. We can clear all. They'll also show you a paste all trick in just a moment. But I want to clear all. I want to close this. And now let's just say we've highlighted a word hard here. And instead of opening it up and then doing Control C, you can do Control CC. Now, if that doesn't work on your computer right off the bat, then you actually have to come up to the Dialog Launcher and come down to Options and say Show Office Clipboard when C pressed twice, and select that as an option. This trick is particularly helpful in Excel when you start to do lots of formulas. You can use Control CC. You have a part of a formula highlight, and you use Control CC. Now, let's turn that on. Let's try it again. Control CC. And sure enough, it shows up. It copies, and then anytime you copy whatever, you're loading up your clipboard. All right, two last things. One is the next thing is we want to talk about Alt keyboard shortcuts. Now, right now, we have 2 pages. I would like to get rid of this page break. Now, how in the world do I do that? Well, how do you get rid of characters? You could put your cursor right here, right? And there's backspace and delete. Well, what does delete do? If I hit, my cursor's flashing right there. If I hit delete, notice the thing to the right just got deleted. And then delete, 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 delete. I'm going to do Control Z, 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 Z. Backspace does the opposite. Whatever's on the left gets deleted. And I'm going to Control Z, Z. Well, just, oops, notice I did Control Z one too far, and it undid my lowercase, make everything lowercase. So now I need to undo my undo. So now I could go right here, redo, or I could Control Y. Boom, there it is. All right, that whole little thing was to show you that no problem. In fact, any non-printing character, of course, is just a thing you put in there, whether Enter or Control Enter for a page break. So if I hit delete now, notice the thing on the right side, boop, is going to be deleted. And then I'm going to delete. And now you can see there's no more second page. All right, I'm going to Control S. And I would like to look at the Alt keyboard shortcuts. Actually, before we do that, let's just quickly look at the status bar. Status bar is handy. There'll be some different views. We're not going to. Here's full screen view, so you could click on that. This is also in the View tab. Or I'm going to close this up here. Or you could go back to print layout. What's so nice about print layout is that it shows you what it's going to look like when it prints. There's the slider, which instead of using the slider, you can use Control, hold the Control key, and roll the wheel on your mouse. Love that trick. Notice now we can see the whole page, right? Clearly see the page. The status bar also shows you the number of pages and the words. If you had sections, it could show you sections too. All right, status bar. The last topic is the Alt keyboard shortcuts. And what I'd like to do is do page setup. Now, that is a very common task. You usually go to page layout. And no problem. The ribbons in the book show you how to do the ribbons. I tend to not use the ribbons because I like the efficient method here, page setup. This is a dialog launcher. When I click it, we actually already saw this in a couple of videos ago. It has all of the page setup that I could want in one little dialog box. And actually, we will see how to use this and keyboard shortcuts to enact all this. But all I want to look at here is the Alt keyboard shortcut. Is there a way to open up the page setup? We saw last video how our Alt FWF was so awesome for creating folders, right? When you had to create that whole system of folders. Well, the Alt keyboard shortcuts are only good when you do something over and over and over. Because keyboard shortcuts are faster, it is good to know them. It's faster than taking your mouse and coming up here and doing this. Now, let's see what happens when we hit Alt in Word. Because over in Windows Explorer, remember, it underlined a letter. It's actually going to be much easier in Word. Let's just hit Alt. Whoa, look at that. These are called screen tips or key tips. It means that if you want to jump, actually, I'm going to click Escape. Let's start over in the Home ribbon. Now let's hit Alt. You can see the key tips show you one letter. That means if I hit H, the Home ribbon will be enacted. If I hit P, the page layout Tab and the ribbon will be enacted. Notice I have a bunch of keyboard shortcuts for my favorite quick access toolbars. But here we just want to hit P. Right? And then notice down here it says SP. So then I would hit SP. All right. So now you're saying, just like in the last video, you said, well, that seems like takes longer than actually just clicking up here. Click, click, right? That's faster than reading the screen tips. Well, let me click Escape. This is only something you're going to do when you do it over and over. So the first few times you are going to have to hit Alt and then look at the P and hit P and look at the SP. But once you have it memorized, it is faster. So now I'm just going to go Alt SPS. Whoops. Alt PSP. Escape Alt PSP. All right, let's do a little page setup. I want the top margin to be 0.5. Now I'm going to move to the next text box. Instead of taking my cursor, I'm going to hit Tab, and I'm going to type 0.5 for the bottom. Remember, these are margins. The left is going to be 0.5. I hit Tab and then 0.5, Tab and then 0.5. All right, we're not going to discuss page setup in this video. We're just seeing how to open this with the Alt keys. I'm going to click OK, and sure enough. All right, I'm going to Control S. No, you know, I just thought of something. I want to do one more trick in this video. I want to show you the beauty of this Paste All button. Now, sometimes you have, say, a list of names. Let's just type some names here. I'm going to zoom in here. Just a quick example here. I'm going to type the name Sue, and then Sue again. So there's some repeats. And then Chin, and then Tom, Tom. And I'm hitting Enter each time. Enter. And now I want to open up Excel. I'm going to come down here to this Excel shortcut or go to Start, Programs, etc. And I'm just going to type one or two names here too. Notice right off the bat, the clipboard shows up in any of your Office programs, PowerPoint, Excel, Word, right? So the things I copied over in Word are still available in Excel. So here's our goal here. Whoops, that's spelled wrong. Our goal is we have some lists of names, and there's some duplicates here. And now I'm going to use Alt-Tab, and there's some duplicates here. And all I would like is a list of just each name listed one time. So now, first I'm going to clear all. Great button here. And now I'm going to highlight Sue very carefully without the non-printing character. Control C. I see Sue, Sue, Sue. And then Chin. Control C. So now I'm accumulating just one instance of each name. Tom, without the hard return. Control C. Fung. Control C. Now I'm going to Alt-Tab. And I can even compare, right? So, oh, there's a new one. I'm going to click in the cell. Control C. Ooh, look at that. You can see the icons here. We already have Fung and Sue. Now, I just want a unique list. So I'm going to click in C1, type unique, and enter. Now watch this. I'm going to click Paste All. And just like that, Paste All, it pastes them. Let's go back over to Word. So that was in, maybe I wanted the unique. Actually, I should put unique list. I'm going to Control B. Notice here's the ribbon in Excel. Some of the elements are the same. Control B is the same. I'm going to use Control B. Right? And now let's go over to Word. Alt-Tab, Alt-Tab. Control-Enter to jump to the next page. And then I'm going to type. I'm going to hit Enter. I'm going to highlight just this and say Control B. Control B for bold. Notice if I Control B, it's a toggle. Notice up here, ooh, the buttons become orange when they're enacted. That's interesting. That's good information. All right, now let's try it here. Paste all. Notice in Word, there's no hard return, so it didn't go down. But it did paste our unique list. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alt-Tab. I can see my list right here. You know what? I'm actually going to save this, that book 1. I'm going to F12. It doesn't matter if you do Control S or F12 there. They both do the same thing because we've never saved it before. The location, I'm definitely going to my Highline, winter, or whatever quarter you're in. Business 216. Notice I'm using the pluses. Class notes. I'm going to click in Word. Hey, wait a second. I thought I had already saved my Word document and verified that it was there. Why isn't it showing it up? Totally important lesson here. This file type is a filter. When you have a certain file type here, it will only let you see in the Save As because we're in Excel. We're not in Windows Explorer, right? It only shows the .xls's. So if you see nothing there, it's because there aren't any .xls's. Now I'm going to highlight this. Where do you want to save it? What do you want to call it? I'm just going to put unique list or a unique list. And how about paste all practice? All right, something like that. Some useful name. And then I'm going to click Save. We'll talk more about Excel later, but oh, isn't that beautiful? That clipboard, I just love that clipboard. Collecting things and pasting them, some from Excel, some from Word. Now I'm going to go up here and use the red X or Alt F4. Alt F4. I'm going to Control S here. Oops, I Control A by accident. Control S. All right, and then I can either use the red X or Alt F4, or I can come down here and right click. So Alt F4. All right, now I'm back in Word. Oh, look at that. Now in Windows Explorer, you can clearly see I have the same file path over here on the left. And sure enough, I see both files in there. All right, that was an intro to Word. We'll see you next video.